Hi everyone, good morning. It's Margaret Manning here, and welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today's Tuesday, it's December the 27th. So I hope you're doing great this morning. I am feeling really good today. I just feel like it's going to be such a positive day. For one thing, I've just got a lot of rest the last couple of days. I've just been taking it easy, pampering myself, going for lots of walks, and I hope that you've had a good week so far too. This is kind of that in-between week, isn't it? It's between the Christmas Day and New Year's Eve, and maybe you've got more to do this week now, getting ready for the new year, but I hope that you've got some fun plans. And again, thank you for coming every morning and just showing up and being here for us and giving your support. You know, I've loved the comments that we've had over the past few days. Thank you so much for being so kind and so thoughtful and sweet with each other. I know it's been, for some of you, a difficult period of the year, but most of you have been just so positive, and I appreciate that. Now, I'm having my color-coded tea this morning. I've got my Puka Love tea, which I really love. I have a whole box of it, and so I hope you've got a cup of tea or coffee, and just sit back, relax, and we'll chat about maybe a plan that you've got for the new year. I certainly do, and it's something that is really popular with our age group, and that is cruising. Now, if you don't love cruising, you can listen for like the adventure of others, but I really do enjoy cruising. It's one of those things. I've actually always loved boats, and when I was a child, we crossed the ocean for the first time when I was about 8 in Queen Elizabeth, which I don't even know is sailing anymore, but it was Cunard Line, and one of the first transatlantic boats, and we had a great time. It was really fun. I went with my brothers and my family. We went to Canada, and so my first experience as a young child was on a huge boat, and I've just always loved cruising. But there's some things as you get older that you might want to consider. And our blogger Sherry Kennedy, who's the cruise maven, wrote an article for us. So I'll leave you the link because it's quite detailed and very, very helpful about how to choose a cruise ship and things to just consider as you're planning your trip. Now, the first thing that Sherry talks about, of course, you think is the size of the boat. This is really important. There are so many options. There's a spectrum of boats that you can choose. Now, of course, there's a mega ship. Now, these are the ones that carry, 3,000-4,000 people. There's all kinds of entertainment and activities and, 15 swimming pools and, 20 restaurants. And they tend to be very inexpensive because people there's so many people that they can afford that. But also there's lots of entertainment, sports, pampering. And, if you don't mind being with crowds and crowds of people, it's perfect. Also, if you've got mobility issues, this is not the best kind of ship because, of course, they have elevators, but they're not always geared, for people with mobility issues. So these are like the Royal Caribbean, Princess, Norwegian. These have a lot of big mega ships. The other one is a medium-sized ship. Now, these tend to be a little bit more luxurious, and there's not so many outdoor activities, and not so many restaurants and distractions. But they're still quite popular, and they've got like Holland America does a lot of really great mid-sized ships, Carnival. And even Norwegian again. There's a lot of mid-sized. There are a couple of thousand, 1,000 to 2,500 people. And of course, this is a definite option if you don't want the mega ship, but you don't quite want those tiny little ships, which can be kind of expensive. Now, the small ships, the ones that are like less than 1,000 people, they carry a higher price tag usually, but the ratio, of staff to passenger is just ridiculously wonderful. I mean, you get that perfect attention, and if you've got any special needs, this is a perfect type of ship. There's not so many activities, but you'll find the quality is amazing. There's some new ships. Viking has just launched some mid-sized ships, which are going to be incredible. They're under 1,000, just under 1,000 people, but every room has a balcony. Every room is in that traditional Norwegian minimalist style, which is gorgeous. Very similar. If you've been on the river cruises, you'll see the same thing in these mid-sized ships. But of course, there's Azamara is another line, and also Silver Sea. There's quite a few in that small boat range, so that's another one. River cruises. Now, I'm a big fan of river cruises. I love river cruises for a couple of reasons. One is, of course, the boats are so small. They're 200 people, and the ratio then of people, staff to people is amazing. And I went on a Viking cruise on the Rhine last Christmas, and it was a visit to the Christmas markets, and it was just spectacular. My expectations were exceeded in every way, and the food was great. The boat was like sliding on ice. It wasn't, it was perfectly still, and it was just that ability to see the world more slowly. And a river, of course, you can see both banks and the castles and architecture and ports along the way. It's really, really fun. So those are kind of the river cruises are great. I will warn you though, and so does Sherry, that the river cruises fill up really fast. And of course, the dreaded single supplement is in every one of these boat sizes. Just search for the ones that that have an offering. Best to ask. Online it doesn't always say, but if you call, you'll sometimes find cruise lines that do have special single supplement prices. Or you find a friend. That's by far the most economical way to do any of these cruises. But it's fun. River cruises are wonderful. Now, the other things that Sherry talks about are things like staying healthy. Now, it's really important to take with you, of course, your medicines, things that you need every day at home, but also put together a little care package. And maybe some of you who've been on cruises could give some advice and some thoughts on what's worked, what you've taken that you've needed. Of course, if you're a little bit sensitive to motion, you should take, of course, some things for your stomach to keep the motion sickness down, and also Imodium and things like paracetamol, things that you might just need on the way. I discovered when I was on Viking cruise that you have to be thoughtful about the fact that they cannot dispense medicine. If it's a small ship, they don't often have a doctor on board. If there is a doctor on the larger ships, then you're fine if you fall ill. But of course, it's a matter of just making sure that you do the normal things like wash your hands often, don't touch the elevator buttons if you can help it, or wash your hands afterwards, and just the common sense things with thousands of people around you. Now, and also take some antibiotics in case you get a very bad cold. But talk to your doctor before you go. Just make sure he or she gives you their advice too. Now, the other thing to think about is to select itineraries with within your physical abilities. So if you do like active sports and active activities, look for the cruises that have themes. Like sometimes they'll have a theme of sort of a yoga cruise or a keep fit cruise. Sometimes they'll have like a 50s cruise or a 60s cruise where there's dancing and music, and look for those. They can be fun. Maybe you've already done one. If you've done a cruise that was a themed cruise, let us know how it was and what you enjoyed or didn't enjoy. Let's get some feedback here for other people that might be considering a cruise. And of course, you can do a more leisurely cruise, like a transatlantic cruise across the ocean. Queen Mary 2 or one of the Cunard Line boats are wonderful for that. So if you don't like flying so much, it's a good way to get to the States if you're in Europe. And vice versa. So another thing is to be careful for your safety. Obviously be careful when you're on board to not drink too much, and make sure that you put all your safety items and put all your items somewhere safe. Wouldn't take a lot of jewelry. This is always a recommendation that people like Sherry make, to just go very simple. You don't need to go crazy with clothes and outfits and matching shoes. Just be comfortable and in all these categories of boats, and just make sure that you're prepared. Also, she talks about insurance, and this is another safety feature, and that is to make sure that you know what's covered by your travel insurance. The cruise lines do offer insurance policies, but they're not so comprehensive. They're really about what happens on the ship, and some of them are more expensive, but it's always a good idea to also get out your own travel insurance. And I know that this is sometimes, it can be quite expensive. So be thoughtful and do your research, and maybe there's a place online called insuremytrip.com. insuremytrip.com, and that's where Sherry says she suggests you go to look at the different travel insurance opportunities and make a good choice. So if you've got a cruise in your mind, if you're dreaming of taking a cruise this next year, right now, today is the time to start thinking about it. Trust me. I was checking the other day into world cruises, one of my big fantasies, and they are booked for 2019. 2019. So if you're looking for an exotic cruise or one that's a little bit special, just give them a call, see how our booking's going, because especially if you want a single room, which they are available, you should make sure you book early. But anyway, go to the article that Sherry wrote and read all of her suggestions. They're super helpful. And if you've been on a cruise, share your story. Be really great to hear what you got up to. So, do you have a preference for a dazzling new mega ship, or do you prefer a medium-sized small ship, or do you love river cruises? What kind of cruise do you love? Share your story and I'll join in the conversation. It's a topic I'm interested in too, and we'll see what everyone has to offer. So, what kind of ocean or river cruise do you prefer? So have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone. Hope it's a great day, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow on Mornings with 60 and Me. Take care. Bye-bye for now.